Hello and welcome back to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel, your source for all things Everton. My name is Thomas, back with another extra time on the channel today. I feel like me and James seem to just switch between he gets the wins and I get the losses, sadly. But today I am joined by Terry, Owen and Stephen joining us once again. We're going to try and dissect our loss against Leeds. To be honest, I wasn't too surprised at the results. We knew what they were going to come with. We knew they were going to come with a lot of energy. Yeah, we could have played a lot better. However, here we are now after a 1-0 loss at home. Stephen, I'll come to you first. What were your general thoughts about the game?
We could have gone either way, really. I think we had a lot of chances. They had a lot of chances. I was speaking to the Leeds lads yesterday, and they thought they fully deserved to win, which you can't really argue with. I think we just had a couple of chances and didn't take them, and that's what you've got to do if you want to win Premier League games. And we just didn't do it. So pretty disappointed, to be honest. Me and Terry were previewing it, talking about how uneasy we felt about it, and we got exactly what a good Leeds team coming to us just sort of dominated us for most of it, I think.
Yeah, coming to Goodison Park, obviously Rafinha looked for his first Premier League goal. I thought he played brilliantly all day, but of course we knew what we were expecting with Leeds, very high energy side who, I mean, we've always struggled with. We struggled against Ralph Hasenhüttl, Southampton, obviously very high pressing, aggressive side. Leeds very much similar, shots everywhere. It's a very open game. Terry, what did you make of it?
As expected, as Stephen said, it's what I thought would happen before the game. Is they play that sort of frenetic, high energy, pick up the loose balls, pick up the misplaced passes football, and we were going to struggle. Now, on the strength of the whole game, obviously Leeds were the better team, but it was fine margins, I think, at the end of the day. I think Everton, when, in the first half, we were overran a lot in midfield. The back three were very exposed because we only had the two in the middle, and I don't think they could live with the energy of Leeds' midfield. But I'm just, what can you say? That Rafinha ran us ragged in the first half. But in the second half, I think we came into the game a little bit more. I don't think we were as out of it as some of the commentary was suggesting, Jamie Carragher, Martin Tyler acting like, we were clinging on for dear life. We had the ball in the net a few times, I think very harshly done by with that unreal James Rodriguez goal. But I say this all the time, like at nearly every defeat this season, I've said the same phrases. We don't know anything now that we didn't know already. We've got 10 passable players. We've got 10 players in this squad, and the rest is just crap. That bench was like a Masters football team for the start. There's things you could say. Why didn't he play? Why didn't Ancelotti play Niels Nkunku left back? I think that may have made a little bit of a difference, because I think we was limited in our width, because Iwobi kept having to come inside naturally because he's right-footed, taking it in his instep. He always came inside the pitch. But that selection, that 11, spoke to the lack of depth we've got. When both of your fullbacks are injured and your two replacement fullbacks aren't even on, was Kenny on the bench? I don't even think he was he?
No,
both second choice fullbacks weren't even on the bench. That speaks to a lack of quality in that position. And we're then, as we've done with the other defeats, we're putting square pegs in round holes. We can't accommodate losing even one or two players of the first team. And even then, the first team's only 10 players, because that third midfield position's up for grabs for anyone. But when you've got Delph, you've got Sigurdsson, you've got Gomez, you've got, players like that who are just frankly not good enough to come in, then what are you going to do? The manager, I don't think, is beyond reproach. Of course he isn't, but he's not a miracle worker. He's, if the players aren't good enough, that once it got outside of this, the very top surface level of player, if underneath that's just terrible, then what's he meant to do? I just don't think we can't accommodate losing any players at all. And I know every team's going to get injuries, but it's showing in our results. You look at the games we've lost. Luca Dean's missed some, Richarlison's missed some, Coleman's missed some. Doesn't take many. You can't. We can maybe lose one player out of your first team and get by. And even then, it depends on the player. But certainly the big four players, the Luka Dean, Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin and James Rodriguez, any of those four get an injury, and one of them has now for a couple of months, 3 months, then there's a massive drop-off, and it affects the rest of the team. They can't accommodate it. They can't get by without those key players in the team because there's no depth whatsoever.
Yeah, and obviously it's disappointing to lose again, but of course, against a side like Leeds, very high pressure, live halfway up the pitch, you're always going to get chances. And Owen, was it you? I think I saw tweeting about how we had chances to win it. There were a lot of people talking about how it was kind of just a one-sided game, but it absolutely wasn't that. We had the ball in the net. You know, we had other chances. What did you make of the game?
For me, it's a game that I feel like we've had a bad run, but I wouldn't take that game and think Everton played badly or that somehow the tactics were wrong. That's a load of nonsense to me, because I feel like we did get caught in key areas, but that was due to the personnel in them areas. I thought the shape of the team was good, and I thought we created chances. My big issue with that game was I felt like we were playing a team that wasn't really there. We were playing the aura around Leeds and what the media want you to think they are, rather than what actually was there was a team that's just come up from the Championship. To be fair, they played really well, but I can't help but think that we let them play really well. We just let them pass the ball. We let them go. We just let them get chances after chance after chance. We sat a bit too deep. We didn't press them very well. It just, to me, was, even though I felt like Ancelotti, apart from the wing back areas, I don't think you could complain about anything else we did. I just felt that we got chances. Everything was rushed. Our passing was terrible, and I think the first 10 minutes, I don't think we found a blue shirt. It was that bad. We grew into the game. We got chances, couple disallowed, no complaints. Why Ben Godfrey's moving his head towards the ball, no idea. But I still think it'd have been disallowed, obviously, from what we've seen in the past. Calvin Phillips run the show. I feel like Alan played well for us, but I feel like with just Alan and the core, a high energy Leeds team can easily cope with that. I feel like we needed another body in there. And Hammers, I've said him many times, he's a luxury player, and I think if you're going to put him within the framework of the team, everything else gets undermined, because he's someone who you find moments for you rather than someone who obviously sticks to a position. You see him on the left, on the right, through the middle. He's got a free role essentially. That's why I think Carlo played him behind Calvert-Lewin and Dom, but we got overrun at times there. I think it's just a worrying sign at the moment that we just can't keep a clean sheet to save our lives. And for me now, I feel we've really got to stick to a system that helps us keep clean sheets and helps us just do everything right at the same time, because I think we're inconsistent between games, and I think we're inconsistent in games too. I thought there was times where we looked a half-decent team against Leeds and we had chances. There was other times where we were just so passive and made it so easy for them. I don't know where we go from here. We've got Burnley next week, who are, in a way, the antithesis of Leeds, who do the complete opposite. But if they score the first goal in that game, you might as well blow up and just go back into the changing room, because we're not going to break them down if they score the first goal, in my opinion. If we get the first goal, I feel like we'll win comfortably. But on Saturday, I didn't think it was a terrible performance, but I'm really disappointed with how we approached Leeds to beat Man City or Liverpool when they played well, but they're just Leeds.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned Alan there as well. I agreed. I think he had a very good game. We kind of got a glimpse of that marauding run he had forwards. But Stephen, would you agree that players like him and Decore are crying out for a kind of a player to sit in the base? Because Alan, he obviously wasn't signed as the number 6, but obviously Gbamin's injury was extended longer. He's probably going to become that player if he gets back to fitness to sit in that kind of deeper role. First of all, were you impressed with Alan, Stephen? Then second of all, are him and Alan, him and Decore absolutely crying out for that defensive midfielder like Phillips played for Leeds, who's going to allow the rest of the midfielders, their license to roam, which Alan and Decore clearly desperately want to.
Yeah, I think that's it. Really, you can see that there's a really good player in Alan. He showed it the other night how good he was. He was my man of the match along with Pickford. I think a lot of people would say he was man of the match as well. Certainly, for Everton. I think, for him and Decore, they are crying out for a good set of players around them. That's dragging them down at the moment. And obviously, when there's bad performances, you can't just put it down to that. But I do certainly think they are being pulled down by the rest of the team at the minute.
Yeah, and then Terry, do you agree with that? Do we kind of need Gbamin back? That might improve the clean sheets. We don't know. Obviously, having that extra defensive presence, which Alan, as much as he's a brilliant tackler of the ball, he does love to kind of run from his position sometimes. Do you agree that Gbamin needs to come back hopefully soon?
Yeah, I've said that for weeks, to be honest, that when we were playing 4-3-3, that the third midfield position, if this is going to work, especially, as Owen said, with a luxury player like James, you need to have a very high work rate midfield, centre midfield 3. It's what Liverpool do, it's what Man City do. You need to have the midfielders cover all the pitch. We did it with 2 at the time, but it was Barry and McCarthy. And then latterly, just Sergei came into it and what have you. But you look at the options we've got now, it speaks to what I said before about the lack of depth in the squads. If we're waiting on Gbamin to come back, then that shows that our options outside of him are just terrible. You've got the 2 midfielders who, picked themselves and have done well this season. And then who've you got after that? Delph, it's crap. Davies, done all right the last 2 games, but big picture-wise, he's not good enough. Sigurdsson, forget it. Gomez, not even, I don't know what, has he got a twin? Because he's not the player we signed on loan who bossed Liverpool's midfield in that Pickford derby, because he was absolutely unreal at times, but he's just fell off the face of the earth now. I understand why they've gone to 3 at the back, because that's how much we lack depth in. I know I'm repeating myself, but we lack depth that much that at 1 or 2 injuries, we completely change the system of the team to try and accommodate it, because there's no like-for-like replacements that if they feel are good enough. But if Gbamin can come back in and we end up with Alan, Doucouré and Gbamin, it might help. It might help all different parts of the pitch. It might help the fullbacks because they can afford to go forward more, and we might be able to play some of the, Nkunku, for example, because he's got a little bit more cover if he gets caught up the pitch. It'll help. Well, ideally, it'll help the centre backs, because we've got on paper good centre backs, but they're shit in goals. So now you look at, there's 5 of them if you include Brandwaite. If you look at the centre backs, you could pick any combination of them, and I don't think you could, rule out any of them. At one point you could have said, well, Keane's nailed on, but I think he's dropped off a little bit. I don't know what the solution is. Maybe it's go back to back 4 because the back 3 didn't work. I've got to be honest. I thought that back 3 would be better. I mean, it's only 1 game, but I thought it would do better than it did. It defended resolutely and got away with it a few times. Clearances off the line, but I thought Godfrey and Holgate would be better on the ball, but Holgate was terrible on the ball. He gave it away a couple of times. And I don't know whether it's just a case of going back to basics, pure Burnley style, and just having a back 4 and just settling on it. Maybe, put Holgate, I prefer Holgate at right back to Godfrey, but put one of them right back until Coleman's back, and then put in Nkunku there. But even if you play one, like Delph until Gbamin's back, or someone who will give that little bit of extra shield. It might not look pretty when you see the lineup come out, but it'll run smoother as a team, because at the minute we're not satisfying anything. The defence has got 5 defenders in it, but it's not, it's still conceding goals, and the midfield is better than it was, but it's still missing that, it's still getting overrun in certain games against certain types of opposition. So it's just about basically coming through this bad spell. We've had a good spell at the start, and now we've hit a bad spell, and it's just about finding solutions to it. And frankly, I think we will. I'm not getting bent out of shape over it. It's a good spell and a bad spell, and now we're going to go into December, and there's there's games coming quickly now where you can turn things around, and we've got a good manager. I don't care what anyone says. We've got a good manager, and I think he'll see us do it.
The one thing I picked up on there is the 3 at the back thing. At the moment, the 3 at the back formation is well and truly in the mud. Sheffield United are bottom of the league playing and aren't doing very well. Wolves have changed it. I can't think of anyone else in the Premier League who regularly plays it anymore. It's a formation that just invites teams onto you without trace. I don't like it, especially with wing backs of Davis and Iwobi. I don't like it. Play a left-footed left back and a right-footed right back, and I'll be fine. Even if it's Delph there, I could live with that because he's left-footed, and it's a bit. It wouldn't look the best, but he'll do a job. He's played there and won the league with Man City through playing on left back. Right back, if it's right wing back, play Iwobi. If it's right back, throw Holgate or Godfrey over there. It's a simple solution that we've got to find quickly to get this defence sorted, because it's ridiculous how bad our defence is at the moment. Just, I think us four on here, we could just play in a front four for any team and we'll get chances, because it's just so ridiculous the errors we're making at the moment. And surprisingly, it was Pickford the one who was bailing us out on Saturday, because the rest of them were having a mare, especially Michael Keane. If we're going to play back three, don't play Michael Keane in a back three. He's used to playing in back fours, they're flat, whatever. But just find a four at the back formation and stick to it, and just grind results out, because we've got a tough month coming up, including Burnley and Sheffield United, who are fighting for points. Got other games in there against top 6 teams, or Arsenal, who's supposed to be a top 6 team. They might just stay up, as Roy Keane said, but apart from that, it's going to be a tough month. So we need to find a solution quickly.
Yeah, it's definitely been a tricky spell, but I don't want to dwell on the negatives too much, because I think there's definitely 2 significant man of the match contenders. And I'll come to you first, Stephen. Who would you claim was your man of the match for us anyway? We'll forget about Rafinha on the other side. Just put that on your mind.
No, I've probably got to be Pickford, hasn't it, really? And that's the biggest surprise of them all. I think Everton losing wasn't even the biggest surprise anymore, which is bad. No, Pickford made a couple of really good saves. He made the one from Rafinha, was like a looping header. The one from Bamford as well. I've probably got a couple more I'm forgetting about. But yeah, I've got to say Pickford. But just going back to what Terry said there, I completely agree with Terry, talking about the three. We don't have the personnel to play 3 centre backs and 2 wing backs at the moment. I think going back to basics and going with a 4, playing Delph in his natural position, it like we said before, Tom, it may give Alan and Zakore a bit more freedom if we were to just go for that, flat 4. And Mason Holgate's not been fantastic either after coming back from injury. I fully expected him to be first choice, and now he's coming back, he's not really showing it. I think once he's back to full fitness, obviously it will get better once we get our players back. But the fact that one player gets injured and the whole thing goes down the drain's just a bit disheartening, really. And it showed on Saturday. If you're going to play a team like that, you're not going to win. And playing, like Owen said, a right-footed Alex Iwobi at left back, it's just a bit confusing, to be honest.
Yeah.
People might be surprised by this due to the profile of the defenders, but statistically, our best 2 centre-backs in a partnership is Michael Keane and Yerry Mina. You wouldn't think that, but when we were playing them both, we were defending a bit deeper and we were doing the basics a bit better. It fell away a little bit, but I still feel like I would have probably them 2 centre-back and one of Godfrey and Holgate right back at the moment. That's how I would. Yeah,
I agree with you. And, I think they were the 2 centre-backs when we had that great run at the start of the season. But, Ben Godfrey hasn't really impressed me at right back. He was okay at centre-back, but I think Mason Holgate is go at right back now. Yeah. I think he's probably the best option there. I wouldn't throw Godfrey straight in there, but I think maybe in a different sort of, role at right back, staying back a bit more and trying to play it out where he can. But it would mean that we wouldn't have to have that, Iwobi playing at right wing, trying to cover for Godfrey all the time, or trying to cover for Davis or whatever's there. I think Mason Holgate at the moment is the best shout at right back.
But I wouldn't take anyone.
I don't really know what John Joe Kenny's doing these days, but I agree with Holgate going to right back.
Cleaning his car on Instagram.
But we'll probably wrap it up there. So thank you all very much for watching. Be sure to let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Of course, not an ideal result by any means, but not the worst performance out of our last 5, which is probably clutching at straws for a positive point. But we knew what we were coming up against. Very high pressing, high energy side. As I mentioned at the start of the video, we lose 1-0. We had chances. Okay, we come back, as Owen said, though. We've got a tricky spell, so it needs to sort out soon, especially the defence. But thank you all very much for watching. Be sure to check out all the lads' social media down below and join us next time on the Toffee Blue.